Yo, can you guys hear me? Mic check. See, test. Okay. All right. Yep. Sorry about last week, guys. I was traveling a little bit last week. I missed the stream. I had a family event I was at. So, but let's go through. We didn't really miss too much last week, I guess. This market's been kind of sideways. We're going to just cover the tether chart here and what's happening. It does look like right this very moment that we are getting potentially some swing failures up here on tether, which could mean that we get a move down on tether, which could set up some price action for the upside. But before we jump to conclusions on that, let's kind of take a look at this. So we're at a supply area here. We can see that we have a bit of 2-day bearish divergence here on the tether chart, which is suggesting we could start to see tether dominance maybe start to roll over here. We can also see here on the 2-day stochastic that we are starting to roll over here on momentum on the 2-day, the 3-day here also rolling over a bit. And what we really want to see is this weekly, okay? This weekly up here is still actually bullish. Unfortunately, we haven't got this sell signal that we were wanting to see. Okay, so even though we have daily and 2-day maybe showing some signs of or early signs of momentum maybe shifting, we really need to see high time frames sort of confirm that for a real rally. Okay, so until we really confirm that, I think we're just going to be in for lots more chop and sideways price action. And it is still even possible for us to trend down while this hasn't really confirmed a breakdown. Okay, we can see here on the weekly wave trend that we're maybe starting to clip here. We haven't actually confirmed it clipping on the weekly. The 5-day here did clip. It is starting to trend downwards here. We need to see some follow through. We need to see risk on come back into this market. Otherwise, we're going to see, Bitcoin and altcoins and them continue to sort of trend downwards. We really do want to see this area get rejected, because if this does break, we could actually end up getting this major move down to major support levels on Bitcoin. So we don't really want to see that, okay? But definitely still be open to the fact that can happen, because the monthly time frame, the high time frame, is still bullish. Okay, this is still ticked up here on the monthly time frame. Yeah, our 3-week here is in overbought territory. Our 2-week is in overbought. Everything here on weekly to 3-week time frames are in overbought territories, which is starting to tell you that, okay, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to start maybe dollar cost averaging into some positions. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we can't see lower prices. Like I continue to allude to say that the monthly time frame here is mega bullish. The higher the time frame you go to here, it all kind of suggests that tether might continue up for quite some time. Okay, we haven't confirmed a 2-month buy signal on tether, but you can see that it's ticked up. The monthly here also is still got this separation. Okay. And so that's something we're going to continue to monitor. I will say that, some of these blue chip altcoins, like, for example, Injective Protocol, all right, that we took a trade on like in 2022 and caught this major runoff here. You can see that this is now pulled back quite significantly. It's seen roughly, if you include that wick, a 94.85% drawdown. That's pretty significant. The last drawdown it had here was a 95% drawdown. Again, there's no real edge on this chart to suggest, hey, you should start, we're going to see a major trend reversal on this thing. No, it's not suggesting that right now. But what it is suggesting is that the asset is in bearish control zone on the monthly RSI. And this might be where maybe, and you can see that the weekly RSI. Okay, so the weekly RSI here is actually giving you a bit of an edge. Okay, you have some weekly RSI bullish divergence from this swing low at roughly 160 or $2. We're at the same levels of relative strength, but at a higher price. So there is a little bit of weekly RSI bullish divergence on this chart, which could suggest, for example, a mean reversion back up to the 750 range. All right, this might take some time to play out. We're looking at a weekly time frame. This could take some weeks, maybe some months to play out, right? So to me, this is actually areas of potential, dollar cost averaging. You could be at an area of value here for this asset. Okay, you can see the long-term channel up here is still kind of intact. It might actually just end up going up to the $7 or $8 region and get rejected, and do one of these and then come back down. Okay, and so that's totally possible for that to happen. You still get bear market rallies in bear markets, so don't be like thinking that everything just can continue to go straight down for a while. I think eventually we will get some sort of relief rally, maybe sometime in Q1. I'm thinking that we're kind of setting up for that, especially if the tether chart kind of gives way. Okay, but currently right now as it stands, we haven't really seen any sort of reversal here. We're still printing white candles on the weekly chart, which is still suggesting that this is overbought on the weekly, and at a pretty critical inflection point here. All right, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin kind of just sitting here as well, above the $80,000 region for now. We are at some critical levels, and we don't really have an edge on this chart at all. There's no divergence on the weekly RSI. The 3-day here is in bearish control zone. We were oversold here in November, which is that dip we got here to about 80K, and we've since bounced, and we did get a MACD cross back up here on the 3-day chart. We can see that the MACD is building positive momentum, but we're not actually seeing really any positive price action, which is inherently kind of bearish convergence. Not really anything bullish going on just yet. Okay, we are holding the range, so not saying that we're not holding this range. We are holding this range. We are stuck between 94,000 and 84,000, if you will, on candle body closes. Okay. And so we're basically just stuck in this range until we end up resolving which direction we're going to go. We do have money flow coming up here on the 3-day a little bit, so that might be something good to monitor. All right, but no real price action just yet. We can see the momentum is ticking up, but the price action is sideways. Okay, the weekly here is also bearish control zone, like I've said before. No real edge on this chart on the weekly time frame. We are trying to maybe cross back up on the MACD. We haven't done so just yet. We could see some more chop. The weekly money flow here is definitely in the bearish control zone. So I have nothing really good to say or talk about aside from we're range bound right now. If we were to break to the upside, it would look something like this, where we would maybe go back up to tag 108,000, this region up here. Or if it's not a very strong move, it's somewhere around 100,000, where the bull market support band is on the weekly, coming down like that. Because if we go to like the monthly time frame, we can still kind of see that the TSI crossed down on the monthly, and we're losing momentum on the month. We've lost momentum on the monthly time frame. Okay. The MACD here, is above zero line, technically in the bullish control zone on the monthly, but you can see that we're just producing negative momentum waves here. And we need to see this kind of round out. If we want to see upside in this market, we need this to kind of go sideways and build up this momentum again. So the weekly here is oversold on your stochastic. It hasn't given us any sort of buy signal. It's just very oversold. The 2-week here did give us a cross, but we need a cross above the 20 line to really get a power move on Bitcoin back to the upside. And the 3-week here also oversold. Also looks like it's trying to also maybe cross. Again, like this is not an area where I'd be like, hey guys, you should short Bitcoin. No, I don't think that that's an equitable play here. But then again, I'm also not saying that we can't go down further. We can, but when things are oversold on those types of high time frames, it does potentially mean that we could be, in a bounce area here or a bounce zone, and you definitely don't want to be trying to short this here. Okay. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else to say. We're just stuck in a range, and it's very boring and sideways. You do have some asset like Avalanche here. Maybe it looks a little bit interesting. It's coming down to this October 23 range low. Could see the weekly here is starting to maybe tick up on its stochastic. It hasn't given a buy signal just yet. There are some alts that look interesting, maybe, that are maybe starting to maybe set up on the chart. Let's take a look at ETH. ETH also doing a bunch of nothing burger, just stuck in this $34 to $2,700 range, and really just not able to really catch any sort of bids. The weekly here looks a bit better than Bitcoin's weekly. It's not deep in the bearish control zone. It's sitting neutral on the weekly RSI right now. We can look at the ETH Bitcoin ratio chart. I would say that, it's stuck in the middle of this range here on the weekly, and the monthly here it attempted to rally earlier this month and kind of got rejected around this 3.6% region. But any higher low that's put in that's higher than this 2% is just a continuance of this uptrend since April, okay, on the ETH Bitcoin ratio. So I can't really be bearish on the ETH Bitcoin ratio until we actually take out this April low. All right. The quarterly time frame actually doesn't really look half bad. This quarterly candle is bullish engulfing candle is still active. We'll see how this plays out. The quarterly stochastics are ticked up here on ETH Bitcoin ratio. It hasn't given us a buy signal just yet, but who knows? That might come here in the next quarter or the end of this year. We'll see if we get a cross up on that, which then could maybe clue us in on ETH Bitcoin might actually start outperforming Bitcoin, which might lead to some sort of movement on ETH later on, maybe sometime in Q1. Okay. Bitcoin dominance chart here. Nothing really much has changed on this chart. It's trying to trend back up here on the monthly, but a lot of the momentum here is still slated to the downside. Just chopping again in this 58 to 60% region. Nothing to really talk about there. Look at the dollar index. The dollar index is getting chopped up right now because of the metals. The metals are absolutely going nuts. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, all in mega bullish trends right now. Look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 closed pretty well there on Friday or whatever day it was. So yeah, made new all-time highs. Printed new all-time highs. So yeah, looks pretty good. Nothing to really say about that. We can look at the NASDAQ. I think the NASDAQ is lagging behind the S&P. It is. The NASDAQ to get to all-time highs is about a 2% move. The Russell, I'm not really a big fan of these wicks up here on the Russell, but it's still above this this previous all-time high. It's just chopping up there. Okay. We can look at gold. Gold's on a tear. Gold coming into a major fib extension here, this $4,500 region. It's tagging it right now. Silver tagged $83 earlier this evening, and looks like it pulled back a little bit to $81 here. What a run for silver. Platinum also breaking its all-time high. Looks like it's got room to go to like $4,000. eventually. That's really it. Any of you guys got any tickers you want me to look at? Bitcoin Cash, yeah. You can look at Bitcoin Cash. ICP. You can look at both of them, sure. All right, so Bitcoin Cash coming into a major weekly supply zone here. We can look at XRP also. Your weekly still ticked up. Looks like it's got maybe some momentum there on the weekly. Okay. This doesn't actually look half bad if this breaks. If Bitcoin Cash can close above 661, you're looking at the $700-800 regions here. Yeah, that doesn't look terrible. Looks better than a lot of other cryptos right now. Okay. So you've kind of got your top side of your range here. Looks like you, looks like you broke this downsloping resistance and back tested it as support. That's pretty strong, actually, on the weekly time frame there. Let's go to the monthly. So the monthly also looks pretty good. It's bullish here on the monthly RSI. Cool. Bitcoin Cash looks bullish. All right. So if you like I said, if you can take out this, $700 region, you can work your way up to like $1,600 eventually. This looks like maybe an ascending triangle in the works. That would be about a 200% measured move on a break. Yeah, I would target this next supply zone up here on 1,600, somewhere in there, if it breaks. ICP, take a look at it. ICP, this thing is pretty wrecked. You had this scam pump up to like $10 and just got wrecked. Yeah, I mean, you're just kind of trying to hold this range low right now on the monthly. The weekly here is at the range low. Lots of wicks down here. I don't know. There's probably not really an edge on this chart just yet. The weekly is trying to curl around. The 3-day here is also no buy signal on the 3-day time frame. Your RSI is trying to hold above, neutral. It's like they're trying to defend this region. Okay. So, yeah, as long as you're holding above 280s, I think it's probably back up to 450s. That's it. XRP. At support on the daily. No real big edge on this chart. I mean, I guess there's a bit of there is a little bit of divergence here on the 2-day time frame. You could see that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, one could strategize taking a trade here. It's very low risk at the bottom of this range. And I would probably target the middle of the range because and typically when you get bear market rallies, you just get, pumps to the middle of the range, not to all the way back to the top of the range. Just, So if you are going to get a move up, it's probably going to be, into the mid range here around this 230 region. That's what I'd be looking at. Weekly RSI is also in the gutter here. Yeah. No, like I said, no real edge on this chart. I mean, yeah, you have a little bit of divergence on the 2-day and the 3-day maybe, but you really got to see bids come in. Like you can have that edge, but If no price action comes in, then the divergence doesn't play out, right? Yeah, I think longer term, I would be, looking at where we eventually come into this trend line, this long-term trend line here. All right, it could be back down at the 70-cent region, which, that wouldn't be terrible. An 80% drawdown. Most of these altcoins lose 90+% of their value in a bear market. So that's not even really that bad. This is like, I know this is a blue chip coin. So, but yeah, you can look at Solana. Solana is a pretty good gauge as to really what's popping in the retail side of things. Solana also trying to hold the bottom of its range for now. You have some bullish divergence here on the weekly. So that could maybe give you enough momentum to push you maybe into the middle part of the range, right? Like it could give you this move maybe to the 160s, 170s. That's what I'd be looking at if I was going to be trying to long the bottom of that range, which is never bad to try to long the bottom of a range, guys. As long as the range is intact, you don't try to short bottoms of ranges. Just not something you do. But you gotta be careful because the monthly time frame doesn't look very equitable at all. It looks like this is coming down, and it could come all the way down to the 44 region on the RSI or even lower. That's what I'd be looking for here on Solana later on, maybe the next 6 months or something. And you did get a monthly bearish cross here on your average sentiment oscillator, which is definitely suggesting that we have more downside to come on something like Sol. But like I said, the range is holding, and if the range is holding here and it's not, and you're not getting like a lot of sell pressure to come in right now, then it's worth maybe trying to stab the bottom of this range on a spot trade. And even if it's just to, even if it's just to here, 150s, 16% on a spot trade is not a bad trade. Okay. The other asset that I was actually looking at was the Say blockchain. This thing looks like it fully retraced its move already. And this could be at an area where maybe you would want to take a potential trade too. You've surpassed an 88.6% retracement. You've basically did around a 90% retracement from this swing low. And you got weekly momentum starting to curl back up here. And 2-week momentum also starting to give you signs of the same. So this could be an area where you want to maybe start to pick up a spot position. Again, not financial advice, of course. None of this is. This could just end up making a lower high somewhere and then breaking down this low and then going to 4 cents later on. I don't know. But just worth maybe paying attention to down here. Okay. I personally took a trade on Tau for much of the same reasons we're talking about. It's at a swing low. It's at a range low right now, right? So if you look here, I'm on Deck Screener, looking at the market cap chart. It's at the range low. So I think it's worth to take a potential trade off the range low like this. Again, this may not play out, but to me, it looks like there's a bit of daily bullish divergence here with the momentum starting to tick back up. You did get a daily buy signal down here, oversold. 3-day here starting to maybe tick up, oversold 3-day RSI as well. Pretty much every time you were oversold on the 3-day RSI, this asset did end up going back to the upside. I mean, it's going to vary on the result of what it's going to do. Like in this particular scenario, when it was oversold here, it retested the range low here like 2 more times before actually going up. But if you bought the bottom of this last range when the 3-day RSI was oversold, this ended up giving you about 181% move. That's not too shabby. All right. The only thing that's making me think that this may not give me that kind of good result is this lower high being put in here. Okay. So this was the first time it came back down to this low after an impulse. Okay. And it made an attempted rally and failed, and then came back down to the same low and made a low, continued to make lower highs. So it is very possible that this rally might just not produce much and make a lower high and then roll over. Okay. That is possible, very possible to have happen. Okay. But we're not there just yet. So I did take a trade on this, and we'll see how this plays out. The other asset that I was trading was Avantis. This was a nice wedge break that occurred, and it got roughly up to that 40-cent region, I believe. Yeah, it did. So yeah, I took my initial capital out on this thing because I have no idea what this is really going to do. It's probably gonna come back down and make a higher low somewhere. Because like if it really was a major wedge break, which it was, you could see the volume that came in here on this break. But relative to the other volume that it did have is nothing in comparison. So it's very weak. Okay. But yep, just something I'm monitoring. It did break out. It did make a move. So we have to acknowledge that it did do that. This was a low cap coin that I was looking at. I mean, this may not really do anything, but I did take a small trade on this too. It's got a bunch of 3-day RSI bull div here. Again, at the bottom of a range or near the bottom of a range. This may not play out. It's barely doing any volume, but this is typically what you see before a big move is very low volume. This is a low cap, another AI coin or something. And against the ETH ratio here, it also looks like it's also at a range low. So this is where, if we were going to get a bounce or a rally, this is where we would potentially get one. And let's see if we actually get it. Might require a bit of patience. I also took a trade on Game, again, down pretty close to the range lows. Again, this may not play out, but it looks like it broke this trend line here and it's going sideways, and it's close enough to the bottom of this range here where I felt it was okay to take a trade. Again, it's very easy for us to manage the risk here. If it ends up taking this low out and breaking it, we just cut the trade. But the upside here is decent. So that's why I was thinking that this may not be a bad trade setup. My entry is like 1.33. And the top of the range here was this. So this is 9.38 risk to reward on this trade setup. That is a very, 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 very equitable trade. Okay. And even if it doesn't make it there and it makes it to here, it's still about a almost 3-to-1 risk to reward. So even if it just makes it to 2.5 cents and I get a double up on it, it's decent. All right. I was also looking at this one, Clanker. I don't know if I'm going to actually take this trade or stay in this trade. It attempted to break but failed. Yeah, doesn't look as good as Tau or even Game. So, but it is a range bound asset. I will say it is a range bound. It's been range bound here. You could clearly see that. The ranges are good until they're not. And that's it. Let me know if you guys have anything else you guys want to look at. Yeah, we can look at wrapped Bitcoin on Pulse. Yeah, it looks like it finally did break its demand line there. Let me find the Pulse chain chart actually. Yeah, it broke its structure, it looks like finally. Just no volume, man. No one's buying this stuff right now. Yeah. So yeah, you broke the channel here, like looks like last week. Structure's been broken. So likely downside to continue on this. Pulse chain dead. I mean, you could say everything's dead. What altcoin isn't dead right now? Except for maybe ETH. Aptos got destroyed. You know what coin looks good actually? Chili's. Chili's looks pretty good. You got World Cup coming up in the summer. I know this is like a sports blockchain, so maybe this thing actually breaks out over the summer. This is a major structure too. This actually looks pretty good. This might even be worth taking a position on down here. This is a 4-year downsloping consolidation pattern. Yeah. Look at that squeeze, man. That looks nuts if that plays out. Yeah. That looks good, actually. Of course, you want to see this break out, but this could be an area where you maybe want to start accumulating this thing because you're already getting monthly MACD crosses here, right? You got the monthly MACD cross. This is implying a major move coming soon, next few months probably, something like this. All the sell pressure kind of weaned off, right? You see that on the monthly like that? Another asset that actually looks pretty good is Canton. These guys have been tokenizing tons of treasuries on chain. It's got some decent volume too. So this one looks like it's in an uptrend. Syrup Finance was another one that was looking okay. I don't know that this is going to continue or whatever, but again, another asset that's doing private credit market on-chain real world asset tokens. I think are going to be getting bids over some of these other assets. Ondo Finance might be one to look at. This thing is obviously kind of wrecked. It's very oversold on the weekly RSI. Could be at an area of potential value. You almost did a 78.6% retracement from swing high to low. I would think that even on a mean reversion type of trade, you're going to see 60 cents, 65 cents on something like this later on. Like I said before, INJ. INJ also at maybe a potential area of value. Is Pulse Chain dead? No, I don't think it's dead. I just think it's very beaten up, man. I don't think it's dead though. There are definitely stronger assets out there than Pulse Chain. So yeah, virtuals. H bar pulled back quite a bit. Yeah, you've come right back into this this breakout area here. You're kind of retesting this breakout zone. Yeah, oversold, not oversold on the weekly RSI, but yeah, pretty close to oversold. Could be an area where, you know, bids might come in. Remember, any of the assets they're putting ETFs out, that's where institutional demand might come from. So INJ just is getting an ETF as well, something to consider. HBAR has an ETF, XRP has an ETF, Solana has an ETF. I would focus on the assets that they're launching ETFs for, because, you know, they're going to have institutional demand there for that potentially, right? So it's something to consider when you know, rebalancing your portfolio for the next cycle. Chainlink has an ETF, yep. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. You know, the perp dexes, I think, are obviously also going to be, you know, probably good to have in your long-term portfolios too, like Hyperliquid. I don't think these platforms are going anywhere. Like that Avantis coin I just showed you, that's a really cool dex, dude. They actually have gold and silver futures on there, and they have oil futures on there. That's pretty cool, man. I don't even think Hyperliquid has that. So something to consider. I'm not a paid shill or anything. To me, this looked pretty good on the chart. We gave an entry at like 27 cents on this coin. Yeah, so it's doing pretty well from here. It looks like it was up about 60% from the entry given. Okay, so Avalanche has an ETF. This might be another one. Actually, speaking of Avalanche, look at this actually has 3-day RSI bullish divergence. So Avalanche is actually setting up on the chart here right now. Okay. Avalanche looks like it's maybe setting up for something nice here. Okay. Could be a Gartley setup, but to me it more looks like maybe a downsloping channel. And yeah, you could be just mean reverting back to about $20 region before maybe something like this happens, where you come back down and retest the low and maybe make a double bottom, and then you maybe actually get your real run out of this thing. Okay, and that's something maybe to consider. Avalanche looks. I'd say Avalanche and Chili's look pretty good to me. You got the 3-day RSI bull div. The weekly RSI is oversold. It's tough to really go that wrong when weekly RSIs are oversold, especially on blue chip assets. Okay. So Avalanche might be in the zone there. Aptos is very, very, very oversold. I don't think Aptos gets an ETF, but this might also do some sort of mean revert, you know, back to $3-4 or something. We mentioned Chili's. Chili's looks good. If Solana holds up, then Drift Protocol will probably hold up too. This is a DeFi protocol on Solana. This is also oversold. So a swing back up here would make sense, maybe to even like 30 cents. So lower cap, I should say. That's pretty much it for now. So we got the game trade, we got the Tau trade. I am holding a little bit of wrap Bitcoins. Yeah, I mean, there's no real edge on this chart right now. I just don't really like selling things that are, you know, 33 on the RSI. But we will look to accumulate more of this when it gives us an edge. As this did have a nice run in 2024. I may not repeat that pattern, but it's maybe worth paying attention to. Pulse chain assets are absolutely destroyed across the board. I don't know what the I mean, it's still like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A top 6 chain traded on Dex Screener. That's pretty good. Base doesn't really count in my opinion. This is just trading volume. It's not really they don't really have a token on here, but yeah. But the Aventus token is on base. This Seamless coin just got a pump for some reason. I don't know. I think this is a Coinbase asset. I don't know what this is. This thing looks really wrecked. Yeah, Avalanche might be something to pay attention to right now. So maybe, you know, the major meme on it or something. I don't know. I'm not going to be trading any of this stuff, but maybe I'll pick up some spot Avalanche. That looks interesting. If Solana go, or if Avalanche does go, then I would assume that the major memes go also. So maybe worth paying attention to if you start to see Avalanche pick up some bids. But we really got to see Tether dominance kind of fall off the map here, which is maybe starting to do that. We'll see if we actually get that move down here. If this move down actually materializes, all these range low trades that I've been giving here or showing are going to play out in some degree. And I would think back to like, yeah, these major moving averages here, 5.42% would make some sense. So we'll see. That's it, guys. Hopefully we get a little bit of a move up. We've been in a pretty depressed market here. All right. There is ever so slight bullish divergence on the weekly RSI here on the total market cap chart. All right. I guess technically it's not really divergence if you are actually making higher low. So just making a higher low on the RSI is what you're doing right now. The 3-day RSI is starting to maybe trend back up here. Like I said, you got some heavy discounts on some of these major ones, like Avalanche. Even ETH is probably in discount territory. Bitcoin's pulled back a bit, probably also a long-term spot to accumulate. You know, anything below, I think, like 85K is probably not a bad long-term place to accumulate Bitcoin. There you go. Cycle repaint says we'll be over 100K in January. So that kind of aligns with a relief rally that we might get. We've been talking about it since we tagged like 80K. Hopefully we get that. That's it. There's no real reason to be like super bearish on stuff after weekly RSIs are oversold like this. Like you're going to get some sort of relief before you maybe go lower on stuff. And as long as Bitcoin's making higher lows, then I would say 74K, technically you're making a higher low on the macro side of things. And, you know, this, if we end up making new highs or something, you know, we could be targeting upwards of this $200,000 region if we get some sort of major rally or whatever. And that would trigger our pi cycle if we did something like that. We did not trigger that this cycle. We've done it every other cycle, like every other one. So I'm not saying it's has to do that, but we didn't really have real euphoria in this market cycle. But it's been an institutionally driven cycle, so it's been a rough last few years for a lot of these altcoins. Like, for example, if we looked at, let's just take a major blue chip, like even just looking at like a major blue chip like Link, and we looked at it versus Bitcoin. Okay. Link versus Bitcoin is down since 2020. It has lost 92% of its value against Bitcoin. All right, and this is a major blue chip. Well, let's look at XRP. XRP made a pretty big move this cycle too, or this cycle, I should say. This, yes, agreed. Here's XRP versus Bitcoin. So since it peaked against Bitcoin in 2018, it is still down 90% against Bitcoin. This cycle or whatever, if you bought these range lows and rotated Bitcoin for it, let's just say you caught the exact low, you're up 184% against Bitcoin right now. So, okay. Most of these coins look like crap against Bitcoin. All right. Let's look at Avalanche versus Bitcoin because there is a bit of bull div against the dollar. Wow. Yeah, Avalanche versus Bitcoin is just straight down, dude. Avalanche versus Bitcoin is down 95%. Wrecked. So, and that's it. I think the best way to really, I mean, it depends on what you're after. If you're after accumulating Bitcoin, then yeah, the best thing that you can do is just try to trade Bitcoin, try to trade altcoin pairs that look bullish against Bitcoin, in a bull market. In a bear market, you just want to probably just be accumulating Bitcoin. I'm just taking some range trades on some of these assets to accumulate some cash. That's all I'm doing right now. That's the whole point of it, because I don't think Bitcoin's going to give me a double up, for example, within the next month, right? Yeah, even the cycle repaint chart says we're going to see 100K, which is not a double up. So that's all I got, guys. Yeah, maybe. What happened to the crypto president, man? Yeah, I don't know. Quite a disappointment. Quite a disappointment. Let's look at Trump coin, man. Where is it here? Coinbase. There you go, man. Trump coin, $4.93, just down only. January of 25, it was launched. Oh my God, it was at $50. Yeah. So thanks for joining, man. And yeah, we wish you a happy new year as well, sir. It sure did break support, yes. It's in bottom discovery. Yeah, I mean, stuff like this can just, you know, it can just continue on down. There's no $3 probably next. I mean, okay, maybe if the market does start to recover or something, you get like a mean revert back to $6 or something and make a lower high and then just roll over again, you know, something like that. Like I said, there's a couple alts that look decent. Like I said, Chili's was looking decent. This actually doesn't look half bad. This could maybe produce some sort of rally if we do get a relief rally or something. obviously do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. But to me, this does look like maybe some accumulation happening. Yeah, we can look at flow. Yeah. So flow, I actually was bullish on it here in 2023. I was buying this thing, and it made a move, just not a very big move. And this thing didn't really produce much of anything the whole run. So I actually just got out of this thing a while ago. Looks like it got hacked recently. And that's what this is here. Yikes. Yeah, that's wrecked. Not really much to see here. I have no idea how far down this is going. It's way below its ICO price now, I believe. This looks worse than the Trump chart. Hate to say it. But yeah. Yeah, this is going to 7-8 cents. There should only be 50 coins. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I think the right answer is there should be enough blockchains to handle whatever it is that they're going to tokenize and to disperse the wealth, or the value across those chains, and have it be as secure as it could possibly be. However many coins or blockchains that is, I don't know, because there's a ton of value that exists that has not been tokenized and is not on chains right now, which is why we're in I would still say that this is the infancy stages of blockchain technology, really. So I don't know what's going to succeed. Obviously, ETH has a really big advantage right now over a lot of other L1s because they're first in. And it's relatively secure right now, I would say. It's been stood the test of about 9 years it's been around, since 2016. Almost 10 years. That's pretty long in the crypto space. Yeah, so I don't really know nobody really knows what's gonna be here for the very, very, very long term, but that's why it's worth paying attention to where they're tokenizing stuff, because that could have future implications of where maybe you want to be putting your money. Right. So right now, ETH. I didn't cover yearly candles yet. No. Cycle theory is still valid if post-halving year is red. I mean, obviously, we've never had a red post-halving year. So there's that. Right? Like, we've never had post-halving year. That's red. So I don't know. I know this much. The monthly RSI is at a 75, or I should say the yearly RSI is at a 75. So that can't be good. The 6-month chart here is throwing a sell and points straight down, and we have 6-month bearish divergence. Yikes. Yeah, and this was a higher high on price. Doesn't look good on very, very high time frames, actually. Looks bad. Looks very bad for Bitcoin. But we'll see how it plays out. Money flow, even on a 6-month chart here, coming down. So yeah, even if cycles are dead, I don't think technicals are dead. The technicals here aren't giving you anything really good to look at right now. This actually all looks kind of bad for Bitcoin on that very high time frame. So but it's not like the dollar is doing much better. You know, the dollar index is not very strong right now. So I wouldn't be just getting super bearish on Bitcoin just because the technicals on the chart don't look good right now. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah. I mean, this is Bitstamp's chart, though. This is one exchange. This is not like a conglomerate. Here's the index chart, though. I don't know if this means anything. But this long-term trend line, if this gets busted, yeah, it's going to get ugly. It would get ugly if we lose this. For sure. We'll see how it plays out, man. Doesn't look very good. Like the best time to probably buy Bitcoin is whenever it ends up making contact with this lower trend line here. Historically, anyway. Whenever we come in contact with it. These were probably all cycle lows or bottoms of the market. So if we end up doing something like this sometime in 2026, when we get down here, wherever the price is, it's probably not a bad time to buy Bitcoin for the longer term. We got a ways to go on the monthly chart. And the ETH chart is, I mean, it's definitely a different structure than Bitcoin's, but yeah, I mean, you could see this low. This was an April low, probably, yeah. So this asset's just been range bound for like 5 years, man. It hasn't done anything really that conducive. Oh, Bitcoin's going to go down a lot more than ETH, probably going to go down more as well. You know, maybe back down to the bottom of its range again. Something like that. We'll see how it plays out. Right this very moment in time, it doesn't even really look that bad on the ETH chart. Looks like it's kind of hanging in the middle of a range. And the weekly RSI is sitting neutral. So we'll see. Maybe Bitcoin decides that it's going to put in a nice short-term rally here. And I think the altcoins will probably get some bids because they're very, very wrecked. We'll see how it plays out. That's all I got right now. We could cover some stocks that I've been eyeing. I've been eyeing end phase energy for a bit here. This to me looks like it's at or near or close to a low, especially on the RSI, especially on the monthly RSI. Being oversold like this. Oh, this could take some time to play out. It's just sitting here around the $33 area. No confirmed bottom or anything. You can see the monthly candle coming in here with a bullish engulfing right now, which will confirm in the next couple days. And we can kind of monitor what this does in the coming months. But I think this looks not bad. And Vail was another one I was looking at. This is an energy stock as well, with a focus on like nickel. And the reason why I like this is because, first of all, they give a nice yield, like 5.5% dividend. This stock's been around since 2002, so it's not like a new stock. And it looks like it's trying to maybe curl up here on the quarterly time frame. So that looks pretty good. And if nickel decides to actually break out or move, then I think that'll have an impact on their stock. So let's take a look at nickel. I think nickel was looking like it was going to maybe move. All right. Yeah, so nickel down here looks like it's ready to maybe come out of this floor that's put in here. So I think if this goes, then that stock Vail will definitely see some action. Just a couple different trading ideas for you guys to look at. The silver pulling back here. All right. Yeah, silver's pretty extended right now. I mean, high time frame looks fine. I mean, it's just very overbought. All right, that's about all I got for this evening. If you guys enjoyed the stream, you guys know what to do. Smash the like button, and we'll catch you guys next week. Have a happy new year, and we'll see you guys in 2026. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful Christmas, Hanukkah, happy holidays. We'll catch you guys next year.
Hey everyone, you've landed on the Swing Trade Pros website here. My name is Mr. Know-It-All. I've been an active swing trader for over 7 years. I want to welcome you guys all to the community here. My goal is to change 1 million people's lives with swing trading and trading profitably. This is a skill set you can learn here with the service. You go check out the testimonials in Discord. You can see lots of folks talking about the service and how the trade calls are super profitable. You can check Profit Gains channel. I think we've amassed around $150,000 worth of profits in the last year posted in the Profit Gains channel just from other users and traders in the community. I'd like all of you guys to check out the 14-day free trial. A coupon code will be pinned in the comment section below this video, so check it out. And we'll take you through 14-day free trial process here. You come down to the website, save 44%, and claim your 14-day free trial. Click on that. And that will take you to the Swing Trade Pros website where you can click sign up now. And after your 14-day free trial is up, on the 15th day you will get billed, full disclosure of that. And I appreciate you guys all joining the community. It will change your lives. Give it a chance. A lot of these swing trades can take months. One of our biggest trades of the year last year was INJ. We took an entry at $1.60, and well, that asset's trading over $35 today. So that was one of the banger trades that I pointed out. My strongest pattern that I trade that I'm known for is the falling wedge. I call it the falling node wedge pattern. Lots of divergence on these charts, and that's what makes these patterns really play out. And you guys are going to be able to really learn that in the service, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the charts.